Hello there, and welcome back to our tutorial series of learning DirectX 11.1. This is our second part, and we are going to focus on our first DirectX window. We're going to try get through things very quickly, but you are welcome to pause and move backwards and forwards in the video as you please if you happen to have any issues. And this is obviously a supplement to the blog series that I have been creating over the last few weeks. And if you are stuck, there may be information that is there that could help you with this video. So if we move forwards, in this session we're going to dive into the code by creating our view source, which is a factory that gives us our view, and make a rudimentary game loop. And just a reminder, this is the sort of workflow that we are going to look at creating. We're going to have a main function that calls core application run. This core application run is going to be given a new instance of iframework view source, which has a create view function. This function will be called for us, and it will return an instance of our view class, and all of the view class's functions, initialize, set window, load, run, and uninitialize, will be called for us by the WinRT framework. So let's switch over to Visual Studio and get started. So we're going to go File, New, Project. And under Visual C++, if you can't see it immediately, it'll be under Templates and either be directly there or be under Other Languages. You'll see that there's a tab for Windows Store. We are going to choose a Direct 3D app, and we're going to just leave it named as what it is for now. So mine will be called Direct 3D App 4. When you open this project, you will see that there is a whole lot of code that has already been written for you. And this is to form as some sort of base that you can build off of, or alternatively, it can be used as a reference for you to learn the SDK. However, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this code. So every single header and C++ file in the project, except for the ones under external dependencies, if there are any, and the pch.c++ and the pch.h, we will remove. So that's the simple pixel and vertex shaders, the helper, the DirectX helper, the Direct3D base, our applications name .cpp and h, and cube renderer, C++ and h, and basic timer. So we're just going to delete these and rather start from scratch so that we can learn together better. So now I'm going to right click on the project, go add new item, and I'm going to select C++ file, and we're going to call this main. And the very first thing that we're going to do in here is we're going to go pragma once. We're then going to go include precompiled headers.h, and we are going to now get started on our classes. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at our class DirectX view and then our class DirectX view source. Now both of these are found within the Windows application model core namespace. So the first thing we need to do is using namespace Windows application model core. And now we are ready to start with our classes. So you'll remember we said for making a class we're going to go ref class, the class name, in this case DirectX view, sealed, I must apologize once again for my spelling, and we are going to implement the public interface iframework view. And that is it for our DirectX view class for now. The next thing that we need is our DirectX view source class, and it follows the same template. We'll use ref class DirectX view source, sealed, and we're going to go public iframework view source. Very, very easy. And you will see that we do have errors. This is because we have not yet implemented these interfaces. So let us take a look at the DirectX view source class to begin with. So if you select iframework view source, and you press F12, you will come up with an object browser window, and there'll be a list of all the different namespaces and what you can find in them, which we aren't going to worry about for now. We're going to look at, in this iframework view source, which should be selected, there is a single create view function. Here, in this create view function, if you click on it, at the bottom it'll give you exactly what that function should look like. So we're going to copy this, which is iframework view smart pointer create view, so Control C, and we're going to add it as a public method. So we're going to go public, and we're going to add virtual create view, and this here needs to return a ref new DirectX view, and that is all we needed there. So we're saying virtual as we're going to be implementing the function from the interface, and it returns an instance of iframework view, which happens to be our DirectX view class, and we just return a ref new DirectX view. I am skipping out a lot of information that would be very helpful for you to know and understand, but in the description below there is a link to the text version of this, and everything is explained in full detail. In order to keep this video short, I'm just minimizing the amount of added information that could confuse you. So we are going to do the same for the DirectX view class. If we press F12, it's going to give us a list, and instead of just create view, you'll see we have initialize, load, run, set window, and uninitialize. So I'm going to quickly copy those, and anywhere that you see this unknown type, it will be void. So here we're going to have everything as public. We're just going to have virtual, add in our function template. We will clean this up in a second, and you'll just need to bear with me for a moment while I copy things across. So that's initialize. The next thing is load. So virtual void load. After load, we need run. This is where our game loop is going to go, and I will add in something immediately here. So virtual void run, and in here we're just going to add while true. True has an E, while true, and that shouldn't give an issue. Okay, no issue. Oops, didn't mean to alt tab. And next is set window. So set window is going to give us an instance of core window, and we'll go back here and have virtual void set window. And last function, we need an initialize. And with this, we should no longer have any errors with our implementation of the interface. So we can start on looking at actual code that we need to get things running. So I'm going to just zoom out a little bit here, and I hope it is still visible. So here you can see we've already got the Windows application model core namespace. So we're just going to clear this out so it just says core application view, and we have platform string here. What we're going to do is we're going to leave this for now until we've added the main function, and we'll come back and change it. And here we're going to take out Windows UI core, so Control X, and at the top here underneath our previous we're going to use using namespace Windows UI core. So that's the namespace that we needed for our core window. The reason we're doing this is it makes it a lot easier for us to move up and down and understand what we're looking at without needing long, fully qualified namespaces for every single object. So now that we've got our basic game loop, and this is where our game logic or graphical logic in general would go, we can start focusing on what we actually need to do for this to get running. So the very first thing that we will need to do is inside our initialize, we need to add a function. And inside here, what we need to do is we need to add an event handler. So when our application view is activated, we need to add a ref new typed event handler, and we'll get more into this in a second. We're going to need to add a using here, so we're going to go use using namespace, and it's Windows Foundation, which gives us our typed event handler, and it's going to need type specifier. So the first type is going to be core application view. So we're going to go core application view, and for this event specifically, it uses what is called activating event args. And that's also going to be a pointer to it. And for this activating event args, we're going to need using namespace Windows application model activation. My apologies. And now it should be activated event args. So activated. And that should sort itself. There we go. And in here we're going to say this, because it's going to give an instance of this. And lastly, we need to give an instance or a reference to what we're going to call. So we're going to use an ampersand here, and we're going to say call the DirectX view function, and we're going to call on activate. And we don't yet have this function, so we're going to create it quickly. So we're going to here add void on activate, and this is going to take two parameters. As you see over here, we have core application view. So core application view, a pointer, and let's just call that app view, and we're going to have activated event args. Very, very simple, very easy to do. And now DirectX view has an instance of this onActivate that can be called when the application view is activated. Now inside of here, what we need to do is we need to activate our core window. So the best method for doing this is to use core window get for current thread, and we are going to call activate. This basically means that as soon as the application view is ready for us, we need to activate the window so that we can use it. If we were to run the program before we added this, it would just close immediately if it ran at all. Now that we've told the framework that we want to activate the core window as soon as our view is ready, we can actually give this a test run. So right at the bottom of our class, we're going to add an int main, and here we're going to use platform array, and the type is going to be platform string. So you'll notice here the reason that I didn't remove the platform earlier was that I could show you these, and we are going to have pointers to these. This is the main entry point for our WinRT programs. So I'm going to remove platform from here just for simplicity's sake, and I'm going to do the same up here where I left it for the load function, and I'm going to go using namespace platform. This will just make it much easier at a later stage for us to have the correct functions and that kind of thing. And all we needed here is core application run, and we're going to give it a ref new DirectX view source. So we're going to give this a quick run, and if all goes well, we should have a blank DirectX window. And as you see, it launched a Metro window, and it is blank at the moment. That is because we're not drawing anything. We will get to the drawing at a later stage, but now we are going to take a look at refactoring this code slightly to make it easier to work with. So just stop the running of the code right now. So we're going to break this up into three files, or three three major files, three C++ files, and there's going to be two new headers. So inside our Solution Explorer, let me just pin this to the side. I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm going to call this DirectX View. Inside here, I'm going to go add new item. I want a DirectX View header, so DirectX View.h, and a DirectX View.cpp, which I'll add in a second. DirectX View. And I'm going to do the exact same for the DirectX View source. So new header, DirectX View source.h, and DirectX View source.cpp. So DirectX View source.cpp. So in our main, instead of having these classes, we're going to rather include the header files. So for starters, I'm going to take out the DirectX view source. So I'm just going to cut this out of this file, and let's move to the DirectX view source header. So in this header, we're going to need pragma once. Let me just zoom in so you can see. So we're going to need pragma once. We're going to add include pch, our precompiled headers, once again. We do remember that the include that we needed, or the namespace we needed to use, was Windows Application Model Core. So name space Windows Application Model Core. And now we're going to take this function, virtual iframework view create view. We're going to go Control C. We're going to get rid of all of this extra fluff because this is just a header file, and we're going to move to DirectX view source.cpp. So in here, pragma once. Let me zoom in. We're going to once again include the instead of the precompiled headers, we're going to include DirectX view source. Now the reason we're doing this is because the DirectX view source.h has our precompiled headers. And this shouldn't give an error. DirectX view source. No error. Alright. So we're just going to paste our function here, and it's iframework view, and here DirectX view source create view. And I'm just going to use Shift Alt and get rid of that extra white space. And you will notice we do have an error here. Now what we need is a reference to DirectX view. So I'm just going to go hash include DirectX view over here, and we will come back and take a look at this file to make sure it's fixed once we've copied DirectX view. So I don't need the object browser, so let me close that. So the next thing I need to remove is this class here, the DirectX view class. I'm going to Control X, and I'm going to do the same thing, and let me zoom in here, and I'm going to paste my class, and here I'm going to go once again pragma once, include precompiled headers, and we are ready to start moving the class across. We need to add our namespace, using namespace, Windows Application Model Core, and we need also, if you remember correctly, using namespace platform. And we also need using namespace Windows Foundation. That gave us our typed event handler, and using namespace Windows Application Model Activation. Very, very simple. Now all we need to do, Windows Application Model Core, so that should actually be fine. So I'm going to ignore the errors for now, and I'm going to copy each of these functions one by one and stick them in the other file. So once again, I'm just copying the whole function and I'm pasting it. Oh, this is the C++ file I meant to put that in the header. So just quickly moved it across. I'm going to be copying each function and putting it into the C++ file. And let me do that quickly and then we can continue. So just a moment. And we need the run. And we need set window. And Visual Studio is waiting for a background operation to complete. Alrighty. And lastly, we need an initialize. So I'm just moving all of these across to this file, and we need pragma once and include DirectX view.h. Alright, and I didn't mean to click run, but just ignore the errors. We can go back here, and in here we can get rid of all the unnecessary code now that we've moved it across. So we have a bunch of functions here defined in our header file just to say that we do implement the correct interface. Oh, I do need another using. I need using namespace Windows UI core. I think it was Windows UI core. If we look at main.cpp, it is Windows UI core. So I was correct. Alright, so here in main CPP, the only thing that we're going to keep is using namespace platform, and we need to hash include DirectX view source because we have an instance of view source in here, and inside our view source.cpp we no longer have an issue with DirectX view. And if we were to just clean this up for a little bit so that it all looks neat, we can just make the last changes that we need to the C++ file, and it should be good to go and run. So all we need to do is add DirectX view in front of these functions. So DirectX view, and if we copy this, we can add it in front of each of these functions to show that this is the implementation of these functions. And this should be the end of our implementation. So if we run this now, it should compile and run. Unexpected end of file when looking for pch.h. So actually, let's just include pch.h in the top of DirectX view, and we'll do the same in view source. And if we run this, we should now have our blank DirectX window once again. And congratulations, if you have followed up to this point, you should have a single blank Metro Store application window opening that you wrote in DirectX. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to your feedback.